on TV too, right?
I think so.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah!
Movie toast.
Hey, what is up, Toasties? It's me, movie toaster Dennis, flying solo today. Just doing a little movie toasting while Adam is having a wonderful vacation, but he will be back next episode, I promise. I'm sure you're already seeing some great content from him on our socials. But I've got plenty of toasting to do with you guys, so let's jump into it and start with that news.
Gather round, folks, it's time for the scoop. Tune your ears in, let's join the loop.
All right, up first, as I clearly just couldn't contain myself and sent the image up too early, here is first bit of business. Jason Clarke has officially joined. Oh, let's get into focus here. We'll try. We're trying. Jason Clarke has been added to the cast of the upcoming live-action Gundam film. This is going to be, as we've spoke about in the past, it will also be starring Sydney Sweeney and distributed by Netflix. So unfortunately, still no chance of seeing Gundam on the big screen, but hopefully it looks like they're going to be adding the entire series. So it's not often I feel like that we get that sort of attention. Oh, I'm sorry, folks. I'm just trying to run this here. So, and I just can't get my damn camera into focus. But regardless, giving equal attention to two huge tentpole films, I'm sure is a big undertaking, but it's satisfying to hear that they're not favoring one over the other when it comes to generating that Oscar buzz. So we'll just have to see who takes home the crown. Then up next, Paramount. Ooh, baby. They are lighting the Ninja Turtle fire all over again. We are getting into all sorts of other pieces of media. They're really trying to revitalize the Ninja Turtles for not only a younger generation, but the older fans as well. They announced a whole slew of upcoming content. A new Ninja Turtles animated series, very similar to like the Spidey and His Amazing Friends. It's really aiming for a much younger audience, called Teeny Mutant Ninja Turtles, that will be available on the Paramount Nickelodeon YouTube channel, which is I thought it was kind of surprising to hear they're taking it to YouTube, but hey, that's just kind of where things are going, right? As well as a couple of print books. There's one that's supposed to be kind of in the comic booky style of Diary of a Wimpy Kid, that is again aimed at a younger audience. But then, surprisingly, one I'm interested in is a book adaptation of The Last Ronin. Now, we know that they had an R-rated Last Ronin project in the works for quite some time before the Skydance Paramount merger happened and they canceled the project. So I'm hoping this is maybe at least some of the effort that went into that script getting written as being adapted into this book. I mean, we've already got the graphic novels and things, but it's still kind of exciting to see the older audiences that are fans of Ninja Turtles still getting some love. There's gonna be a whole new line of toys for the sequel to the next animated film, as well as, now get this, a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles themed pizza parlor, and they've announced there will be 3 locations opening right out the gate. One will be not too far away from me, Santa Monica, California, with other locations being in Monterrey, Mexico, and Sao Paulo, Brazil. So our international fans, or those who are local to Southern California, maybe check out some Ninja Turtles pizza. I don't know. See, that one's kind of wild to me. I mean, it makes sense. Like, if you're going to open a restaurant themed after these guys, what else is it going to be? Like fucking turtle soup? No. But a pizza parlor, I guess. I mean, I guess I just don't see the immediate need for wanting to go to it. But let's be honest, I would check it out. It sounds like a fun visit once, right? The pizza better be damn good. All right. Then I'm sure many of you have already seen this online quite a bit, but we got to discuss it a little bit more. Touching on yet again the influence of AI into filmmaking, ByteDance has been hit with multiple cease and desist orders from many of the major studios, including Paramount and Disney, where they were taking several IPs and generating all sorts of crossover, weird, funky content that, I mean, it's just, this is the norm, right? Like, we're just edging closer and closer to being like the regular thing. I know I'm not a fan of it, but I'm sure there's others out there that are. This just seems like the next organic step to take, I suppose. But I'm just not about it. There's all these copyright infringements that they were hit with are all having just dire effect on the outcome of what they were hoping to accomplish, I suppose. The response ByteDance gave out was they immediately tried to put all these restrictions on their software and their AI, their use of their AI in generating these videos. And oh no, we won't do that anymore, we promise. And I'm not going to buy that for a second, because as soon as this gets into the hands of the general public, they're going to start, and they've already started making similar things. But we're just going to see more and more and more and more of this stuff. So hopefully this just doesn't become the standard of filmmaking, but I feel it won't take long. We're getting pretty close there. And then some more Spidey news. I gotta share that Spidey news. Sony has announced they are expanding their Spider-Verse universe over there with the crazy success of these Spider-Verse animated films. The first two, if you've followed the show, I'm a big fan of. They're still working on, or they're still planning on releasing the third film in that trilogy, but they've now decided to expand the universe a little wider. So we are going to be hit with Spider-Punk and Spider-Gwen films as well, which both great characters. And I'm really excited to see what they end up doing with those storylines. If we keep that cast that we already had established and we keep that texture, that flavor of the world that each character had, I'm all about that. I think it's going to be a fun ride. As long as Sony sticks to their guns and fully commits to what they've been doing with the animated Spider-Man films. Don't try to fold that live action stuff into it. Like, let's leave what's good, right? I would much prefer we lean that direction from here on out. All right, Sony, please. And then video game fans, we're just getting hit with video game films just back to back. So Helldivers has been announced as it's getting adapted. The video game Helldivers is getting adapted into a film that will be directed by Justin Lin. So, I mean, that's great news. I think right there, you already know it's going to be action packed. The guy clearly knows how to really give you a thrilling story, tell it in a big, huge scope. Which I think this title deserves. I haven't personally played Helldivers, but I know I've friends who played it, and I know it's got a huge following. It does sound interesting, and especially when you add a big name like Jason Momoa, and this guy is going to be busy as hell. He's already going to be in the Street Fighter movie, several other films in this next year and a half. He was just in the film Adam reviewed last week. Was it Wrecking Crew, I believe? Yeah, I mean, the guy's busy as hell. He's going to be in the Supergirl movie. This dude just doesn't stop working. But Helldivers should be interesting. It is currently slated for a November 10th, 2027 release date. So let us know, Toasties. Is this a game you think it was worth getting the big screen treatment already? Or do you think there were other titles that probably you should get that first? Either way, wheels are in motion, and we'll just have to see just how much fun we have in the Helldivers world. And this bit of business I was excited about. We are getting more rumors of a Crawl 2 getting put into production. So the plan is to actually have Alexandria Aja, pardon my French, I don't know how to pronounce that last name. The director of the first Crawl film is coming back to direct the sequel. Although the setting will be in a different place. We're going from a hurricane hit Florida, and we're moving up north into New York City. The Big Apple should be an interesting location to set this. And I just realized I haven't been. Here we go. There we go. Yeah, we're in business here. Okay. Yeah. So Sam Raimi was on a podcast talking about the fact that although the wheels were in motion for a Crawl to be getting put into production, again, when that merger happened with Paramount Skydance, they slammed the brakes on it. But apparently talks have restarted and things are sounding a lot more solid. Sam Raimi said he's excited that it's going to happen. He has faith. It's for real this time. So I really hope it happens because I thoroughly enjoyed the first film. I mean, this was released in, I think it was 2019, maybe. But it's a kick-ass little creature feature that crushed it. I mean, I think it was a $14 million budget and ended up making like $80 million off of it. And immediately we're talking about a sequel getting done. So this is an exciting bit of news for me personally. And I hope for many of you Toasties out there as well, as Crawl was great. And I think it deserves another shot, especially on a bigger scale set in the big city like New York. Another musical biopic, in fact, we're just kind of keeping with the theme here, Coleman Domingo is planning on starring. He's co-written and produced an upcoming Nat King Cole movie set to start production later this year. Rumor is this might actually be his directorial debut as well, so he's gonna have his hands full with this thing. But what a fantastic subject! What an incredible musician, an incredible impact on American music and American history, for that matter. I grow up listening to Nat King Cole, not just around the Christmas time, but all of his other music. He was an incredible performer, and I think that's a wonderful story to tell in a musical biopic style feature. It looks like Lionsgate will be backing this one, but regardless of the studio, I'm excited to have someone who's like a talented performer like Coleman Domingo carrying the mantle of such an influential artist as Nat King Cole. So I'm excited for this movie, and I'm definitely checking this one out when we get down to that. Then WB. Oh, interesting. Well, okay, never mind. WB is now considering Paramount's 9th offer after all this back and forth between Netflix's offer they made last December, which was, I think, $83 billion or something. Yeah, Netflix's recent offer of $83 billion on the table, but Paramount has apparently matched that, or they've done one better. They're promising another couple $1 billion almost before the end of this year if they decide to go with them. Now, the deal that was made with Netflix, though, is that they get to hear whatever Paramount's offering, and they get the chance to better that again. So we're not close to the end here, it seems. They still have to have a vote here. The shareholders are having another vote on whether or not to take the new offer that Paramount's giving, but it's still up in the air. This whole thing is kind of a mess. I was kind of between the two things. I was kind of hoping it would be Netflix, but the difference being Netflix isn't buying out everything. They want the Warner Brothers studio and they want HBO. They're going to leave everything else. Whereas Paramount wants the whole enchilada. They want the cable networks, everything that Warner Brothers has. So they're buying a lot more for not offering too much more at this point. So we'll have to see if how that weighs out for the shareholders and such. But this whole thing already still seems kind of icky that so much is going into the same hands. And I don't know, guys. We're just gonna have to see on this one. I'm not the biggest fan of how this is playing out. So this is kind of icky. Then Wuthering Heights won the box office this last holiday weekend between Valentine's Day and President's Day. It was a movie-going weekend for a lot of folks, and for not having like stellar reviews, the critic reviews are a little higher, but the user reviews are not nearly as high. Wuthering Heights, it made $83 million. Let's see, it was 45 million internationally, 38 million domestically, and it just steamrolled past Goat, which was in second place with, I think it was 38 million or so that it earned over the weekend, which is surprising to me that this R-rated romance movie did so much better than the much more approachable, like family-friendly basketball film that is Goat, that has been getting a lot of hype. I know this is the Steph Curry. Some people are calling it like Steph Curry's Space Jam, but I know this says that film has a lot more personal references, and it's loosely based on experiences he had in his childhood. So it'd be interesting to see how this plays out. I'm sure it's going to peter off pretty fast, but hey, at least they made 83 million. So sounds like they made more than their money back. I think I was just reading, this is the first film Margot Robbie has starred in. Has been this high in the cast since Barbie, where she obviously played the title character. I mean, am I going to see it? Probably not. It's just, I don't know. Come on, folks. I can sit through some romance films, but this one's just not really my bag personally. But that's just me. That's just me. Up next, we are gonna hit some polls.
Polls.
Oh, so there's a reason why two of us normally do this. Okay. So, what is your favorite horror-based video game movie? Is the question we got for you. We gave you a few options. There was Resident Evil, Doom, Silent Hill, and Five Nights at Freddy's. Now, obviously, I played that a little too soon, but I thought it was an interesting selection. There was one clear winner that was far beyond the rest of the choices there, and that was, I'm sure you already guessed it, Resident Evil. To be honest, but between these, I would probably lean that direction too. I still really liked the Silent Hill movie, the first one. I know it's not great, but Resident Evil was kind of a mixed bag of films. There was a lot of fun to be had, but those were interesting all over the place kind of things. But hey, I mean, with the talks of more Resident Evil coming down the pipeline, I'm excited for the new game coming out. That looks badass. We're definitely living in an era where studios are no longer afraid of a video game movie that being, tainting the waters. It wasn't that long ago. I feel everything that was associated with, whether it was trying to do a show or a movie, video game stuff usually came out bad. But thankfully, that's all turned around. We have so many properties that are thriving now. And then, as we've talked about in the news, there's more on the way. So we'll just have to see how this next wave of video game films turns out. But I mean, we're all about it. I mean, if Adam was here, we'd be backing up the Twisted Metal. Was a fantastic series, wildly entertaining, and such a fun adventure. I'm here for it, though. I'm here for it. Up next, what was your favorite Dave Bautista movie out of Knock at the Cabin, Glass Onion, Army of the Dead, or My Spy? So this one I thought was interesting. We got a split between a couple of them, and neither of them would have been my choice. I'll admit. I actually personally would have chosen Army of the Dead. I thought that was a really fun movie, and it's great Zack Snyder action, just the larger than life zombies in Vegas. I loved the theme, the music, and the cinematography was cool. The cast was fantastic, as we've talked about a couple times in the show already. This one I like to throw on once in a while, but it's a fun one. Instead, though, we got something a little different. I was surprised. Knock at the Cabin took 50% of the votes, and then Glass Onion took the other 50%. I mean, not bad Dave Bautista roles. Knock at the Cabin, I definitely see that for sure. Glass Onion, it was a good movie. That wasn't my favorite of the Knives Out stories. I think we got spread a little too thin, and I wanted a little bit more of the mystery out of it than I think we actually got. But that's just my personal taste. I know it did very well. Adam's a big fan of it. But surprising nonetheless. Surprising results. Then this one's a little fun. Which of these movies featuring a shopping mall was the Toasty's favorites? From Fast Times at Ridgemont High, Mallrats, Dawn of the Dead, or Blart Mall Cop? Interesting choices. Now, I know there can be a little interpretation as to maybe which Dawn of the Dead. I'd say that's up to you guys, whatever your gut feeling is. Mallrats, obviously a solid choice. That's a classic. But whether you're going for the original George Romero Dawn of the Dead or Zack Snyder Dawn of the Dead, I feel like it covers both bases. So that's up to you to interpret which one that was. But I still think interesting selection of movies. No Observe and Report. Although, was that a mall? I thought it was a mall. Anyways, that was I wasn't a fan, but what you Toasties chose was my choice. I agree with this one. Dawn of the Dead. It's still a kick-ass. Some people argue one of Zack Snyder's best films. I think it is still a solid chapter in the Of the Dead universe of Romero-inspired zombie films. It's still great. Between the cast, the use of its location itself. I love the gag with the guy on the roof of the gun store with the signs. Like, just you had all these moments. The zombie baby. I mean, it's still a great movie. And then that was probably one of the first like blockbuster zombie films that featured like the sprinting zombie. That like it just made it so much more scary and really raised the stakes instead of like the shambling walkers that we're used to seeing classically up until that point. Now I like that a lot of the times zombie movies and games and other media have a healthy mix of the two, or that now we have different kinds of zombies in different situations and shit like that. But this was such a great chapter in the world of all, I think, zombie filmmaking period that it's great choice, folks. 100% agree with this one. Dawn of the Dead. Well, I think that does it for. I know we're sailing through this. It helps more when I got Adam here too, and we have a little bit more banter and back and forth and shit. And I not used to doing it, so I'm trying my best with you folks. So thank you for bearing with me. But let's get on to the main show here, and let's do some reviews.
Lights, camera, action, it's review time. Dennis and Adam, we gon' blow your mind. We're stepping up to the plate, ready to swing. Analyzing movies like a scientist would bring.
That's right. Reviews, and I'm only doing one. Probably I should have prepared another one for you, but I was worried it would get way too boring for me. It just being me sitting here talking to myself. But I want to do something a little weird this time, something unusual. And Netflix recommended a Martin Scorsese film I had never seen before, nor was I really familiar with. I might have heard the title, but not really appreciated what the movie actually was. I'm talking about the 1985 film After Hours. Now, this is a movie it's available now on Netflix. This is a movie starring Griffin Dunn and Rosanna Arquette, as well as, now get this, folks, an interesting cast of characters: Terry Garr, John Hurd, Cheech and Chong, Catherine O'Hara, and Will Patton. And it just a very unique cast of people. That's kind of honestly was just like, oh shit, I'm intrigued right away. Like that alone makes me want to check it out. It's telling the story of this word processor working in this business office in New York City that clearly is just not into his job. He's just glazed over when his coworkers trying to tell him about what he wants to do with his life and all the stuff, and he's just not having it. He's just gone. And like this is just a job. He's just going through the motions. And after work, he's sitting in a diner reading a book when this woman approaches him, who's a fan of the book he's reading, and through this weird exchange, it's right here where the weirdness starts getting dialed up. Rosanna Arquette proceeds to tell him she's going to a friend's house, and she was really into making paper mache art. In fact, she sells paperweights that are made to look like a cream cheese covered cream cheese covered bagel, and asks if he would like to buy one, sight unseen from the stranger. And she's like, I'm going to be over there later. Here's her phone number. Just give her a call and come on by and buy a paperweight. So of course the guy was very interested in her. Our main character, Paul, is like, well, he calls over to try to speak with Marcy. one fucking thing leads to another, and this thing just starts. Oh my god, it just starts going all over the place. He gets over there, meets all these weird characters. I can't like. I feel I can't just walk you through the movie because it just gets so funky. Um, Crazy. He starts doing paper mache art. You find out about this horrible history that Roseanne Arquette's character Marcy had with her ex, and how abusive he was, and all this horrible shit. And Paul's just like not even listening to her, and he loses what money he had in his wallet. It blows out the window of his taxi cab, so now he can't even get back home. So really, what the movie isn't even about trying to find Marcy and hooking up with her. It's really about him trying to get back home, and all of the weird roadblocks that come up in his way. Many consider the movie a comedy, a dark comedy, easily. There's a lot of, I mean, the number of people that die or get, oh man, it's fucking weird. I think I remember reading somewhere this was one of the last things Scorsese directed that wasn't based on another literary work or based on another film that he was a fan of. It was wholly original, written by Joseph Minion. It's a lot of high marks online. There's a lot. I didn't look at any of the reviews until after I finished watching the movie. I wanted to pass my own judgment on it first. But this one is a trip, man. Maybe this is one you should be a lot more stoned for when you watch it, because I don't think I was stoned enough. From being coated in paper mache to look like a statue to escape an angry mob that was trying to kill him, and then he gets picked up by Cheech and Chong and thrown in a van full of stolen goods, to trying to convince a bartender to let him into his apartment so he can find the keys he needs to get back home, and then he ends up flooding his toilet, to then going to a metal club where again his life gets threatened and he gets the shit beat out of him several times. He witnesses a murder. He's accused of murder. He's accused of being a burglar. It's so weird, guys. I will say I was really on board with it for like the first act, and then it just kept going down this funky rabbit hole. One thing leads to another, and we arrive at this ending that I was so thankful to finally get to. Having said all that, I did appreciate the boldness of a lot of the choices that were made. The cinematography I loved. It looked really good. The performances from a lot of these actors, especially these those names that I called out, were really interesting, because it's taking all these people who especially were kind of like really known for comedy and not necessarily giving them immediately comedic things to say or do. That was unique. Catherine O'Hara had a couple of funny little bits, but really she was like leading an angry mob for most of her scenes in the movie. Cheech and Chong, yeah, they had a couple of silly things, but they're not who we think they are, through a couple of points in the movie. Will Patton, terrifying. I was not sure what that was. I wasn't sure where that was going until we finally got there. It was really coming off another way. It's interesting. I can get why a lot of people would like this. I do think there is a certain amount of hype because it is a Scorsese movie that it's just automatically given certain reverence. Is it worth checking out? I think it is. I think if you want something unusual, maybe something lesser known, or if it's one of those like you've heard of it but you just haven't got to it yourself. I mean, it's on Netflix now. I think you should check it out if you like the weird, especially if you're like it just reminds me of like when I was in film school. I loved going out of my way to try to find things like this to watch. I don't regret it. Would I watch it again? Not for a long time, and not unless I'm really stoned. That's why I'm going to give After Hours 2 slices of toast. So it was fine. I want to respect it for the things I appreciated about it, but I couldn't stand Paul. This character made the stupidest decisions, and there were so many situations where it seemed like there should have been an easy out, but he instead just made it so much harder on himself. And he was so oblivious to things happening in front of him, just like the other characters that were wildly oblivious to the very logical responses that they should have had to these situations. But that's what was so weird. He's constantly going into strangers' apartments, talking his way into these very unfortunate situations that, again, I don't understand why you would put yourself there, especially when he could have had an out several times throughout the film. But thank God it was only 90 or so minutes, 97 minutes, I think. I don't know, man. It's definitely not my favorite Scorsese, but it's a wacky, weird, kooky, dark comedy that is way more dark than comedy. I'll tell you that right now. I might have chuckled once. I don't know. It's fucking weird. But anyways, folks, thank you for joining me on the solo ride. I know this is brief. It's going to be a quick one. It's just hard to keep it up without that wonderful movie toaster Adam banter. Miss you, bud. Well, very excited to get back to a standard format episode when he returns. Hear all about his lovely vacation and all of the films he will have watched by then, just like whatever I'm going to be able to bring for you folks next week as well. Next episode. But I definitely thank you for joining me on this solo ride. But as always, we are going to ask that it's a follow. Check out our all of our socials. We're over on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Blue Sky, Kick, and YouTube, all at movie_toast. There you'll be able to keep with all these wonderful little extra bits, reviews, out of theater reactions, and such. Adam really stays on top of all these movies as they're rolling out of theaters, and so much more, as well as other series and live streams. Please go give us a follow if you haven't already, and some of these other places, because sometimes it's little extra things in different places. But wherever you're watching from here or listening, if you're just listening to the podcast, thank you for joining, and thank you for keeping up with our fun little show here. But we always kind of want to know how you think it's going and what you toasties think of the show. We know if you leave us a review over on Apple Podcasts, and we'd really appreciate it if you'd let us know what you think. High score, low score, good, bad, in the middle, all of that business. Just like we're honest with our reviews of the films that we watch, we want you to be honest with your review of our show, and would really appreciate hearing from you. We do go out of our way to try to consider all of these suggestions and all of the things that you folks want to see or hear. So please let us know. But you've done all that. You're saying, Dennis, come on, what's the deal? I'm already here for it. I'm already a fan. I'm already a super fan. Well, in that case, all we can do is ask that you please stay toasty.
Adam and Dennis, they're the kings of the real. Reviewing new movies, they keep it real. Coast to coast, from LA to the east. On the podcast show, they feast on the beast. Adam's bringing knowledge like he's Professor X. Dennis with cuts deeper than Wolverine's claws. I guess Marvel, DC, they know them all by heart. Breaking down the plot, tearing every scene apart. They got the juice like Tarantino's Pulp Fiction. Breaking down movies with a sharp precision. Adam coming in hot like a John Wick hit. Dennis bringing the heat like the climax of a Tarzan flick.
Normally, this is where that little extra bit of banter Adam and I would have, but all I'm going to say is, miss you, Adam. This was tough. This was a lot. You do so much for the show, and thank you for all of the hard work you put in. You make the shit look easy, and I know I missed the mark on a few things, but really appreciate all the stuff you do, and lots of respect for all of the effort that you put in, man. Hopefully this didn't suck too hard for you. Well, folks, until next time,